You didn't arrive at this video by chance. There is something within you that knows life is more than waking up, working, paying bills, and repeating everything again. Something deep inside feels you are here for a greater reason, a silent calling that, no matter how much you try to ignore, echoes again in your mind and heart. This is the voice of your soul. And today, we will remember together who you truly are and what is the real path back home. Before you were born, you were not this body. You were not this name, nor this story, nor this identity limited to what we call I here on earth. You were pure spirit, a divine spark emanating directly from the source. You vibrated at the highest frequency of love and light, where there was no pain, fear, or separation. But out of love, you accepted a challenge, to descend into matter, to clothe yourself in flesh and bone, and live a human experience. This was the pact, a mission that only courageous souls accept. Because incarnating means passing through the veil of forgetfulness. It means not remembering who you are, where you came from, and why you are here. It's like diving into such a deep dream that you confuse yourself with it. At birth, you cried not only because of the shock of light and air in your lungs, but because of the unconscious pain of feeling separated from the source for the first time. And since then, the game began. A game where the soul wears the mask of the ego, and the ego, in turn, believes it is all that exists. We grow up learning that we are a body, a name, a nationality, a profession. But deep down, our essence remains intact, only dormant. And the world, with its noise and illusions, tries to keep us distracted so we never remember. Forgetfulness is part of the plan, because without it, there would be no merit in the journey back. It is easy to live in love and light when you are in heaven. But here, in the density of matter, love must be rediscovered, cultivated, and strengthened. This is where the soul's strength is proven. This is where each choice shapes not only the present life, but the eternal destiny. And the soul is not alone in this walk. From the beginning, you have been accompanied by guides, masters, and beings of light who whisper in silence, who send subtle signs to help you remember. An unexpected encounter, a meaningful dream, a phrase that touches you deeply. All of this is part of the divine plot to awaken you. But why did we come? Why leave the perfection of the source to live in an imperfect world? Because only in the experience of limitation can we fully understand the value of freedom. Only in the contrast of pain can we feel the depth of love. Only by facing darkness can we recognize the greatness of the light. And so, the soul goes on living lives, going through joys and sorrows, building and destroying, until at some point it begins to feel that something is missing. That's when the search begins. Not a search for more money, status, or pleasure, but for truth. And the truth is simple. You are not from here. You are eternal, you are infinite, you are part of the source. However, to return home, it is not enough to know this intellectually. You must live according to this truth, and that is the next step in the soul's path, awakening. In part 2, we will dive into the awakening of consciousness, how it happens, what the signs are, and how to remain firm when the world tries to pull you back into spiritual sleep. The awakening of the soul does not happen all at once, nor in the same way for everyone. For some, it arrives through a painful loss, the death of a loved one, the end of a relationship, an unexpected diagnosis. For others, it comes in a moment of spiritual ecstasy, a deep meditation, an encounter with something that cannot be explained by human logic. But in every case, there is one common point. You begin to realize that life is much more than it appears to be. It's as if a curtain is slowly being drawn open, revealing a scene that has always been there, but you had never seen. The pieces begin to fit together, and you understand that nothing was by accident. Even the hardest moments carried lessons and keys for your evolution. Awakening is an internal silent process, but with profound consequences. You begin to question everything, the rules, the beliefs, the patterns you've followed since childhood. You realize that many of the truths you were taught were merely social conventions to maintain control and order. What once seemed solid begins to dissolve, and what once seemed invisible begins to reveal itself. But awakening is not just about feeling good or being enlightened. It is also a shock. You see the manipulation, the injustice, the destruction that exists in the world. And along with clarity comes responsibility. What will you do with this new vision? Close your eyes again to live comfortably, or face the truth and change even if it hurts? Many try to go back to sleep because awakening requires courage. You lose friendships, change interests, no longer fit into certain environments. Those still in deep sleep may mock you, say you've gone crazy, that you're dreaming. But it's because they cannot see what you see. It's like trying to explain colors to someone who only sees in black and white. With each step of awakening, you begin to notice signs that once went unnoticed. Repeating numbers, synchronicities, coincidental encounters that change the course of your life. The energy of people becomes more evident. You can feel when someone is genuine and when they are not. Your intuition grows stronger, and you start trusting it more than the opinions of others. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to remember. Not physical memories, but a wisdom that has always been within you. It's like reconnecting with old friends in the spiritual world. Recognizing places you've never visited in this life. Feeling a love that does not depend on conditions. Once the soul awakens and begins to walk the path of truth, it realizes that its journey on earth was never about accumulating material wealth or seeking recognition. The true mission has always been to remember who you are, align yourself with the divine purpose, and live in such a way that every action reflects that connection. Fulfilling the mission on earth does not necessarily mean abandoning everything and living isolated on a mountain, unless your soul has chosen that path. It means bringing light wherever you are. It could be in your work, in your family, among friends, or even in brief interactions with strangers. When you live from your essence, even the simplest act becomes sacred. But the way back to the source requires freeing yourself from the chains of matter. This doesn't mean denying the body or basic needs, but rather not allowing yourself to be enslaved by them. Attachment to money, status, control, and even to the opinions of others is what keeps the soul trapped in the wheel of reincarnation. With each life, we accumulate experiences and lessons. Some souls, after many incarnations, reach the point where they no longer need to return, for they have understood enough to fully reintegrate into divine consciousness. This is the moment of liberation, when the cycle closes and the soul returns to the eternal home. To reach this point, one must live with full awareness. Every thought, word, and action must be guided by truth and universal love. This does not mean being perfect, but being willing to learn and adjust your path whenever necessary. It is choosing every day light instead of shadow, compassion instead of judgment, truth instead of illusion. The return to the source is not an escape, but a reunion. It is like coming home after a long journey, bringing with you all that you have learned, the battles you have won, the wounds you have healed, and the love you have cultivated. In the source, there is no fear, pain, or separation, only the certainty that you have always been connected to the whole, even when you believed you were lost. And perhaps this is the greatest revelation. The journey was never about arriving somewhere, but about remembering that you are already part of eternity. The material world was just a temporary stage for your soul to learn to love, forgive, and expand. When the mission is complete, the soul does not return to boast, but to merge again into the ocean of consciousness we call God, Creator, Source, or whatever your heart feels. In that moment, all questions disappear because you become the answer. And until that day comes, the invitation is clear. Live awake, live with purpose, live in alignment with the truth. For every conscious step you take here on earth is also a step on the sacred road that leads back home. Motivation you need, where your awareness expands and your soul finds direction. You truly need to watch the next video on this channel. It may be the missing piece in your awakening journey. Awakening is the beginning of the way back, but it also brings challenges. The material world will try to pull you back with distractions, fears, and temptations. This is where spiritual discipline becomes essential. Meditation, prayer, inner silence, contact with nature. Not to escape the world, but to remain in it without getting lost again. Every time you choose to act from your soul instead of your ego, you align more with your true purpose. And little by little, the mission for which you incarnated begins to reveal itself. In part 3, we will talk about the return to the source, how to live the mission on earth, free yourself from the chains of matter, and finally complete the cycle, returning to the spiritual home.